Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Diane's backstabber warning for Phyllis, Daniel, and Tessa's date. The Young and the Restless indicates that Diane Jenkins Abbott will issue a backstabber warning to Phyllis Summers, while Daniel Romalotti Jr.'s date with Tessa Porter is disrupted. On Friday's episode of Y&R, Tessa will struggle to figure out what Aria Porter Copeland wants following a missed playdate. Tessa will run out of fish crackers, but Daniel will come to her rescue with some fish gummies. Daniel will also convince Aria to slumber and teach Tessa how to spot animals in the clouds. After Tessa admits to being a single mother because Mariah Copeland has been so aloof, she'll welcome the distraction of Daniel's guitar lesson. Daniel will suggest a date, but swiftly clarify that he does not mean a date. Diane will meet Phyllis at Crimson Lights, where she will play off her alliance with Kane Ashby while remaining enigmatic. Diane will be annoyed and remark that Phyllis is very similar to Kane, so it's no surprise that she's getting into bed with him. Diane would eventually walk away after implying that Phyllis may be stabbed in the back next. When Daniel, Tessa, and Aria arrive at the cafe, they will meet Phyllis. Tessa will postpone their guitar lesson so that Daniel can catch up with Phyllis after the events in Nice. Tessa will realize she failed to bring toys to distract Aria after her nap once Daniel and Phyllis have left. Tessa will be concerned about Aria's impending outburst, but Diane will console her with a pep talk and some Harrison Abbott crayons from her purse. Billy Abbott will inform Jack that they should discontinue their business collaboration, and will wonder if he is willing to give up his stake in Abbott Communications. Jack will be willing to give up his shares and will discuss calling Kane about a deal for them. Billy will be startled at how easy Jack agrees to this and will be concerned about a catch, but Jack will appear to be more concerned with Kane's status as a wild card. Regardless of the issues, Billy will appreciate Kane's willingness to bet on him, and will want to take a chance on him in exchange. When Jack meets with Diane and provides updates, she will bring out that Jack stated that he would be prepared to work with Kane if it meant assisting Kyle Abbott in dealing with Victor Newman. Jack will admit that he would strike a deal with the devil to stick it to Victor, but he will still be concerned about Kane buying him out and leaving Billy in a vulnerable position. At Society, Phyllis will inform Daniel that Kane is Aristotle Dumas, and that he intends to take over all significant corporations in Genoa City. Phyllis will not be able to go into detail, but she will insist on helping Kane and will hint at Billy's participation. Daniel will advise Phyllis to be cautious, but Billy will be nearby and suggest that they disregard caution. There will be some discussion on how the power dynamics in GC are about to change dramatically. According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Kane's return to Genoa City will shake things up in the coming episodes. Diane calls Phyllis a parasite, as battle lines are drawn over Kane's return. Y&R spoilers. Diane accuses Phyllis of being a parasite for supporting Kane Ashby at Crimson Lights. Their dramatic showdown foreshadows larger conflicts ahead as old adversaries clash. Phyllis and Diane's explosive coffee showdown over Kane Ashby reignites decades-old war. Y&R spoilers. The gloves are off in Genoa City. Just when we thought the Phyllis Summers and Diane Jenkins animosity had subsided to occasional angry stares and passive-aggressive remarks, yesterday's showdown at Crimson Lights demonstrated that the rivalry is far from finished. In fact, it is poised to explode like never before. The parasite comment that sparked World War III. Let's talk about what happened because wow. Diane stepped into Crimson Lights, noticed Phyllis seated there, and decided to go for it. Is it okay to refer to Phyllis as a parasite because she supports Kane Ashby? Those are fighting phrases. This is when things become really fascinating. Phyllis didn't only protect Kane. Oh no. She returned Diane's hypocrisy with her signature smile, which we all know and adore. And then, she dropped the cryptic little bomb that her association with Kane is deeper than it appears. Is it deeper than it appears? What does that mean? The hypocrisy is off the charts. Could you kindly address the elephant in the room here? Diane Jenkins' labeling of others as dodgy is exaggerated to the point of absurdity. This is the woman who, for more than a decade, she faked her own death. She abandoned her son, Kyle Abbott. Allow him to assume she was murdered. Stole Victor Newman's sperm. Phyllis was framed for arson after burning down the Abbott pool house. And she has the audacity to call Phyllis a parasite? The phrase pot calling the kettle black does not even begin to describe this level of hypocrisy. What really drives the Phyllis-Kane alliance? Now let's look into what's really going on here. Phyllis's alliance with Kane, who has recently returned to town as the enigmatic billionaire Aristotle Dumas, is no ordinary business collaboration. This is Phyllis we are talking about. She does nothing without an angle. Think about this. Phyllis lost everything when her fake dying ruse backfired. Diane was forgiven for the same offense and is now engaged to Jack Abbott. Kane has billions and a severe grudge against the Genoa City establishment. What about this alliance? This is Phyllis's nuclear option. Diane knows this.
The Jack Abbott factor. Let us not pretend this isn't actually about Jack. When it comes to these two, Jack is always the center of attention. For 30 years, Phyllis and Diane have fought for the Abbott patriarch's heart. What about right now? Diane is winning. She has the ring, the mansion, and the fairy tale ending that Phyllis believes she deserves. But with Kane's riches behind her? Phyllis might finally have the weapons she needs to demolish Diane's idyllic life. Why Diane should be very worried. Diane's attempt to intimidate Phyllis at Crimson Lights was more than simply spiteful, it was purposeful. She notices the peril. A desperate Phyllis is deadly enough. But what about Phyllis, who has billions at her disposal and a powerful ally who has already demonstrated he will stop at nothing to get his way? Diane is facing a horrible predicament. What about the deeper than it appears comment? Mark my words, it wasn't simply about business. Diane can smell it from a mile away. The fallout will be epic. Genoa City is set to become a battlefield, with Victor Newman declaring war on Kane, Billy Abbott joining their coalition, and the resurgence of the Phyllis/Diane feud. And honestly? I'm here for it all. Will Phyllis and Kane's partnership last when their goals inevitably clash? Because let's be honest, Kane wants Lily Winters back, while Phyllis wants Jack. Those aims may align today since they are both attempting to topple the system, but what happens when they don't? And, more crucially, will Diane's meticulously planned redemption journey eventually shatter under the strain? Because one thing we know about soap operas is that the higher you go, the harder you fall. One thing is certain, the coffee shop confrontation was only the first shot. The true war? It's just the beginning. And what about these two women's history of burning down pool houses, faking deaths, and wrecking lives to get their way? Victor uses Lily against Kane. The Young and the Restless preview video for the week of August 4th to 8th exposes Victor Newman's plan to pit Lily Winters against Kane Ashby, while Billy Abbott emerges as a surprise wavemaker. Adam Newman begins YNR's weekly commercial by asking what attracts Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman to Newman Media. Why else do Newmans visit each other's offices unannounced? Claire insisted on making a deal in the preview segment. Despite Victor's attempts to thwart Claire and Kyle's move-in plans, they may still insist on moving forward with a deal for Adam's previous apartment. Victor will have more important things to worry about in the next week. When Victor meets Lily and Devin Winters at Crimson Lights, he will inquire whether they are aware that Kane has returned to town. Kane will be back in Genoa City by then, and Lily will insist on avoiding him at all costs. Victor will not think that is a good idea, and he will explain why soon enough. Victor appears to be aware of Kane's weakness and intends to capitalize on it. Victor may attempt to coerce Lily into assisting him because he can use her to sway and control Kane. In an athletic club suite, Phyllis Summers will be eager to begin a private encounter with Kane. However, Kane will eventually mention that someone else will be joining them. If Kane is allowing them into his business sphere, Phyllis will assume that this person is a big deal. When Billy arrives at the door, Phyllis will understand he is the one Kane has invited to their brainstorming session. Who's ready to make some waves? Billy asks in the weekly preview video. Kane may ultimately provide updates on the specifics of his huge plans in GC, but he'll need assistance if he wants to carry them out. Can Kane rely on Phyllis and Billy to get the task done? Can Billy and Phyllis trust Kane not to betray them? The truth is that none of these people are trustworthy, therefore Kane, Phyllis, and Billy will all have to keep their guard up in the following episodes. According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, unpleasant news may be on the way when Kane returns to Genoa City. Diane's backstabber warning for Phyllis, Daniel and Tessa's cloudy date derails amid explosive Genoa City turmoil. In The Young and the Restless, Genoa City never sleeps, nor do its schemers, and this week's entanglements demonstrate that trust is a luxury that no one can afford. Diane Jenkins Abbott is at the center of it all, issuing a harsh warning to her longtime adversary, Phyllis Summers. However, while these seasoned queens of manipulation revive their feud with caustic words and backdoor alliances, the next generation, Daniel Romalotti Jr. and Tessa Porter, find themselves in the midst of the storm, juggling nap times, missed playdates, and a guitar date that is far from romantic. It all begins innocently enough in Chancellor Park, where Tessa tries to understand a toddler's whims when a playdate falls through. She's out of fish crackers, an emergency in any parent's playbook, until Daniel enters, like a hero in faded jeans, with a bag of fish gummies. His sudden presence not only calms Aria's brewing tantrum, but also provides Tessa with a moment of respite, something unusual these days as she deals with the emotional strain of co-parenting alone while Mariah Copeland grows increasingly aloof. Daniel, the thoughtful artist with a sympathetic streak, teaches Tessa how to detect animals in the clouds, a playful distraction that evolves into something more sensitive. When he suggests a guitar lesson and half-jokes that it's a date, then quickly backpedals to not a date, we can see the implicit strain boiling behind their fun relationship. But, while clouds drift gently through the park, a full-fledged storm is developing at Crimson Lights, where Diane bumps into Phyllis, and all civility is immediately abandoned. Diane, full of anger and distrust, dismisses Phyllis's oblique hints to her alliance with Kane Ashby. Diane, with venom disguised as charm, implies that Phyllis is playing with fire and may be the one who gets burned. "You're crawling into bed with Kane," Diane sneers, a metaphor with a double meaning. She does not end there. "Don't be surprised if he stabs you in the back first," she cautions, striding away as if she'd just dropped a tactical bomb, which she may have. And yet, we're talking about Diane Jenkins. A mother who pretended to die, abandoned her child, and frequently played God with other people's lives. Her calling Phyllis a parasite is the kind of irony that only a soap opera can pull off without blinking. The pot doesn't simply call the kettle black in this case, it breaks the entire kitchen. But that's what makes this confrontation so tasty. These two women are symbols of deception, and the battleground has been prepared. As Phyllis smirks and makes cryptic allusions to her deeper-than-it-looks bond with Kane, it's evident she isn't faking it. Diane senses the true threat, and this is what worries her. Because a desperate Phyllis is already lethal, but what about a resourceful, connected, strategically partnered Phyllis? That poses an extinction-level threat to Diane's idyllic Abbott House fantasy. Back inside the cafe, the tension subsides. Daniel arrives with Tessa and Aria, just in time to capture his mother smirking and high from the adrenaline of battle. Tessa, ever the empath, understands Daniel's desire for this moment with his mother, especially after what happened in Nice, and gracefully withdraws from their impromptu guitar lesson. Her worries are exacerbated when she discovers she failed to pack toys for Aria, who is ready to awaken from her nap in a toddler-fueled rage. Before Tessa can spiral, Diane reappears, still fuming from her confrontation, and, in an unusual act of maternal kindness, provides Harrison's crayons from her purse. It's a rare tender moment, hinting at the complexities of Diane's personal path as a mother and now grandma. Meanwhile, at the Abbott estate, a different type of power shift is taking place. Billy Abbott informs Jack that he wants to discontinue their business collaboration, suggesting that they end their shared ownership of Abbott Communications. Jack doesn't fight it, in fact, he relishes the opportunity to transmit the torch. It is not just startling, but also unsettling. Billy, who is always expecting a catch, wonders what the true play is. Jack plays it down, but there is alarm in his voice when he recalls Kane, who is now a wild card with unexpected goals. Jack may be willing to bargain with the devil if it means keeping Kyle safe from Victor Newman's iron grip, but siding with Kane carries risks, particularly if it leaves Billy vulnerable. And Jack knows all too well that when people underestimate Kane Ashby, they frequently pay a high price. They might pay, because the stakes are quickly mounting. At Society, Phyllis lays a bombshell on Daniel. Kane Ashby isn't just back, he's Aristotle Dumas, the enigmatic millionaire who's secretly taking over every significant firm in Genoa City. Daniel is astonished, but Phyllis is not finished. She implies that Billy is also part of Kane's expanding circle of influence, and that the power structure in GC is about to be drastically changed. Just then, Billy walks in with a sparkle in his eye and a devil-may-care attitude. "Let's throw caution to the wind," he says, sounding like a man with nothing to lose but everything to gain. Can anyone truly trust Kane, Billy, or Phyllis? That's the question that hangs over every quiet chat and backroom arrangement. These three have complicated past, questionable morals, and enough emotional baggage to fill the CAC's penthouse suite. Kane is playing the long game, Phyllis is looking for retribution and validation, and Billy has always been the wild card. He's strategic 1 minute and then self-destructs the next. Kane may need them to carry out his business revolution, but one wrong move and this trio could collapse under the weight of their own desires. And just when you think things can't get any more chaotic, Victor Newman arrives, calculating, chilly, and always 10 steps ahead. He regards Kane's reappearance as a direct danger. To combat a threat like Kane, you strike him where it hurts. That's why Victor confronts Lily and Devon at Crimson Lights, asking if they've heard the news. Lily wants nothing to do with Kane and claims she will avoid him at all costs. However, Victor has a different strategy: exploit Lily's unresolved emotional history with Kane as a weapon. If Kane's weak point is Lily, she becomes Victor's secret weapon. He's wagering that even a man like Kane can't outmaneuver his own heart, and Victor never bets unless he intends to win. Later, in a suite at the GCAC, Phyllis prepares for what she believes will be a one-on-one with Kane. But Kane, ever the mastermind, has invited another person to their private brainstorming session, Billy. Phyllis's amazement rapidly evolves into curiosity. Kane has a big plan. And he wants two of GC's most surprising thinkers at the table. Who's ready to make some waves? Billy grinned. But behind their grins is betrayal. Phyllis wants Jack. Billy craves power. Kane seeks redemption, and possibly Lily. Their objectives may be similar for the time being, but their motivations are bound to clash. And when it happens, relationships will crumble, emotions will break, and the balance of power in Genoa City will change irreversibly. This week's YNR is more than simply high-stakes drama, it's a masterpiece in multi-layered narrative. It investigates motherhood through Tessa's quiet tiredness and Diane's unusual kindness. It delves into ambition and betrayal as Kane manipulates the chessboard. It teases Daniel and Tessa's romance, whether genuine or imagined. Above all, it reminds us that in Genoa City, trust is always a gamble, and power is never guaranteed. So, as the dust settles from Diane's venomous parasite barb and the characters reorganize for the next round of maneuvering, one thing is clear: the struggle for Genoa City has begun. With Victor pulling strings, Kane regaining his heritage, Phyllis pursuing vengeance, and Diane clinging to her redemption with her freshly manicured fingertips, the fall of an empire, or the creation of a new one, is only one plan away. Adam's office ambush, Claire and Kyle seek a deal. According to the Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, August 4th, Claire Newman and Kyle Abbott will attempt to negotiate an accord, leaving Adam Newman open to an office ambush. Adam at Newman Media will be astonished when Kyle and Claire arrive. It will make Adam question why they have come to his office unexpectedly, so Claire will explain. Claire and Kyle are attempting to strike an agreement, so Adam may assume Victor Newman is unaware of this. Claire, on the other side, may argue that they don't need Victor's approval because she is an adult woman who can make her own decisions. When Kyle arrived home, he boldly announced to Victor that he would be moving in with Claire. Victor has been trying to postpone this important relationship milestone, but he may not be able to do so for much longer. If Adam's place is still available, Kyle and Claire may be able to book it. Despite Victor's misgivings, Claire and Kyle may persuade Adam to sign the real estate transaction. Claire has been encouraged to live life to the fullest since Cole Howard died. Cole's death may have served as a wake-up call for Claire, inspiring her to take action. Claire's time apart has also made her realize how important Kyle is to her, so she'll be ready to begin their next chapter together. YNR fans have already seen Claire become more daring in standing up to Victor, like as when she insisted on seeing Kyle before attending the Newman family reunion. Victor will not be pleased if Claire takes one step further and makes a deal with Adam behind his back. Again, Adam may be cautious to upset Victor now that he has a strong relationship with his father. Claire and Kyle will need to persuade Adam that the transaction they propose is worthwhile. According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, Kyle and Claire wish to give Adam updates to their proposal. Spoilers for August 4th to 8th include Adam's dark secrets, Diane's panic, and 3 sad funerals.